Snow Cone Mini One Shot. I've been watching the cartoon Summer Camp Island lately. If you love Adventure Time, you will love that cartoon. Izuku knew that he was a total nerd. A complete otaku. A guy with low confidence. A guy that okay, you get the idea, but he never thought he would get picked on. It's like a manga he read, except a lot less fanservice involved. And as he was packing his things to leave the class, a certain someone touched the back of his head trying to get his attention. He ignored the first poke to the back of his head because he knew that the person was just trying to get him agitated. And the second, and the third, and the fifth, the sixth, and so on. He finally turned around after the 15th one as he realized this wasn't going to stop anytime soon. What do you want, uraraka? He had a good amount of annoyance in his voice as he spoke to the girl who was responsible for poking him. Nothing, was all she said, which only filled his annoyance even more. Turning back around, he went back to packing his stuff up. Ochako decided to poke him once more. He turned back around and she was just casually whistling while looking away from him. He was going to give her one last chance to stop, so he turned around and didn't move. A full minute passed and she didn't make any sort of move, so he went back to putting his stuff away. Ochako reached into her mouth and pulled out a piece of gum that she had been chewing on for the last few minutes, and she stuck it right in the back of his green hair. She giggled to herself from her actions. What did you do? Izuku stood from his chair and tried to pull the gum out from his hair, but it was too sticky and it only hurt when he pulled it. What's this? Ochako saw a book poking out from his bag. She reached over, pulling it out, and began to read the front cover. Hey, leave my stuff alone, he demanded when he saw her reading his book. Ha ha ha, you're reading a comic. Seriously, Deku, I thought you would at least have a shred of dignity, but I guess I was wrong. She held her side as she heard from her own laugher. There is nothing wrong with reading a comic. Izuku defended himself as he turned a bit red from the anger he was feeling. I saw a commercial from on TV about the anime. It's so unrealistic. Society having superheroes. And the best part is that there's a school that teaches young underage kids how to fight and have them come into experiences with death, and everyone accepts that as normal. Totally unrealistic. She crumbled the comic and she threw it into a nearby trash can. My comic. Izuku rushed over to the can to savage his comic. Such a nerd. Ochako shook her head in complete unapproval. She walked out quietly while Izuku uncrumbled his comic. It was pretty much ruined now. He flattened it out as best as he could and slid it back into his backpack. As he started to walk out, he noticed Ochako left something behind in her seat. It was a small metal pipe. He wasn't sure what to do with it. After thinking for a bit, he put it in his bag. He had an idea that he could make her stop bullying him in exchange for him not turning in the weapon. Story continues below. He left the school after that and he began to walk home. He didn't have much friends, so he usually walked home by himself, unless Ochako didn't have her fill at school. Soon he found a rock on the ground, so he gave it a hard kick, trying to relieve some of his anger. It rolled forward on the ground and he kicked it again once he got near it again. He kicked it again, and again, and again. Eventually he kicked it down an alleyway. He decided not to go in there. His mom always said to stay away from creepy areas. But just as he turned to leave, he heard a scream. Warning, you may want to skip ahead some if you're uncomfortable with a bit of sexual harassment and attempt to rape. I'll let you know when it's over. A voice screamed throughout the alleyway, making his ears perk up from the shrieking. What is going on? Should I get help? He looked around trying to see if anyone else was around, but there wasn't anyone. He brought out his phone and immediately thought to call for help but hesitated. But if someone's in trouble, help may not arrive in time. He put his phone away into his pocket and brought out the pipe. His entire body shook more with each step he took leading into the alleyway. But he knew if someone needed help he couldn't just stand by. Once he got far enough he saw what was happening. Ochako was pinned against the wall by a man he never saw before. And he was trying to rip off her clothes. Just stay still, bitch. The man tore off some of her fabric. Let me go. She used her leg to kick him in the nuts but he was completely unfazed. Hee. Sorry little girl. I'm wearing a cup down there. Don't worry, once you're nude I will take it off. He tore more fabric off of her. It's over now. Izuku couldn't believe what he saw. A very small part of his head told him that he should walk away now. She always bullied H. Why should he care if something happens to her? But he immediately closed that thought off. He took a breath and ran up behind the man swinging, hitting him straight in the head. Ah! The man yelled in agony and fell to his knees as his head started to bleed from the blow. Ochako immediately kicked him across the face with her heel, making it worse for him. Ah! Fucking assholes. The man held onto his head as he felt all kinds of pain. How you know you only get knocked out if your brain touches your skull? Looks like you got a tiny brain. Ochako insulted him good. The fuck you saw? Izuku banged his head once more, this time actually knocking him out. Izuku took deep breaths, trying to calm down now that it was over. He threw the bloody pipe down and looked at Ochako. Hey, are you alright? Izuku asked her. ... I didn't ask for your help. She refused to look at him. ... No, but I couldn't stand by and watch him do that to you. ... He took his phone out and called the police. Ochako stood silent, watching him talk to the operator. After a minute he slid his phone in his pocket. Izuku picked the pipe back up. Here, this is yours, he handed it back to her. Ochako took it but threw it back down. I don't want something that has this creep's blood. She turned around to leave. ... But, thanks, she said without looking at him. Oh, of course. He was a bit surprised that she would thank him. But that doesn't mean I like you or anything. Get that through your head, Baka. With that she ran out of the alleyway. Izuku almost thought he saw her blush. He waited around for the cops to explain everything. He was going to have a hard time telling his mother about this. The next day at school he was surprised to find something on his desk. It was the comic that Ochako ruined, plus the next issue. And it came with a sticky note. This is just my apology. But I will never say it in person. Baka. He read it to himself. He chuckled a bit. Maybe she isn't so bad, he thought as Ochako leaned on the wall outside of the classroom. As she entered she threw away any gum she had with her. Apologize if it made anyone uncomfortable. It wasn't really bad, but I know people can be upset even by little things.